Hello, freak bitches.
saying that marijuana is just like it's just a destructive fucking drug that is almost as bad as heroin.
Yeah, he said that. Was it today or yesterday?
I think it was
Jeremy?
either today or yesterday that he said it.
I saw it. It's hilarious that this guy is in charge of anything.
Only slightly less awful was his words.
Only slightly less awful than heroin. Someone is, without a doubt, if that's what he's expressing, someone's without a doubt influencing that. Like there's more than just his opinion here. This is not when they have these meetings when they're discussing policy or they're discussing how they proceed. Like this isn't as simple as this one wacky dude's opinion and they leave him alone with his opinion. He has ultimate power. There's no way. There's a bunch of vested interests. There's a bunch of people that have tremendous amount of money at stake and would lose money if marijuana was legal. That is 100% why that guy's doing that.
Sure, but I mean, his personal opinion towards weed has always been really horrible.
I'm sure it's
so,
been,
I mean, like,
but you can't lie like that. Like that's just a fucking lie. Like you don't have any data to show that that's even remotely true. Heroin kills fuckloads of people. Their bodies are ravaged by it. Pot doesn't do a goddamn thing to you. It might make you a little loony.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, it's not even comparable.
No, and if you might be,
but
they had schizophrenia exams where they looked at all the population and they said, you know, marijuana contributes to schizophrenia, and they were like, well, no, actually, no. If you look at the number, it's always 1%. And if those 1% are smoking pot or not smoking pot, it's still, the schizophrenia numbers have always been around 1%.
Yeah, I mean, look,
they don't go up or
schizophrenia can be
down.
exacerbated by marijuana.
I'm sure.
But it's not, it doesn't cause it.
Yeah, I think I'm not a brain scientist, nor are you. Are you? You're not.
I've dealt with schizophrenic people.
You know them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've known a few. It's I think it probably varies like any other kind of mental illness.
But what pisses me off though more than even like the personal angle of like I'm a pot smoker and this affects me personally. I mean that does get my goat a little bit. But what really pisses me off is that Trump is Mr. Jobs.
Yeah.
This industry, this $7 billion recreational marijuana industry is employing like 100 to 150 people, part-time and full-time, that are along some rung of the ladder of like, oh, well, you know, either they're working for the growers or they're doing the packaging or they're helping with the shipping. So this is like a huge job creator.
Right.
It's a huge moneymaker. This is what Trump ran on. Trump's like, I'm the jobs president. I'm going to bring jobs back. If they go after this industry, that's the exact opposite of bringing jobs back. That's shutting jobs down.
Yeah. What's shutting jobs down, though, were the kind of people that we don't really want around in the first place. I mean, they can sort of surmise that people that are running pot shops are probably pretty left-wing, you know, pretty quickly.
Sure.
And so you're making more money for your opposition, whereas the pharmaceutical companies, they're nonpartisan.
Don't forget the alcohol industry too.
That's true. Both of them. The prison unions, prison guard unions. That's what's really crazy. You find out that prison guard unions have worked to try to keep marijuana illegal. You're like, wow. Like what you're really saying is we want to extract money by putting people in cages. That's what you're really saying.
Well, that's what you get when you do a private prison industry.
God damn it, DJ.
I mean, I've done videos about this fucking private prison industry.
It's crazy.
And, you know, I'm always surprised by just how tepid the response is. People are like, yeah, whatever, you know, prisoners, who gives a shit? It's like, yeah, but what about the fact that plenty of people don't belong to be there? What about the fact that these people who run these prison industries sponsor legislation to put more people in jail in a country that already has the disproportionately highest prison population of any country on the planet while claiming to be the fucking land of the free?
Yeah, we put a fuckload of people in jail.
Tons. They're not, I mean, it's not just being used for terrorism. I mean, they're using it for their drug war as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's the drug war is going to have to ramp up if this marijuana legalization keeps kicking in. They're going to have to figure out some other way to arrest people. They have to keep the same jobs. I mean, they have a lot of jobs. They're going to have to justify.
I mean, Jeff Sessions could come to the pot shops like where I live, and I guess there's pot shops around here too, and they could fucking raid them. They could shut them down. Yeah,
they could legally.
Yeah, because it's still illegal under federal law. Obama chose not to do that. He chose to respect the will of the states. But the Trump administration is at least signaling that it's not going to. Because of Sessions, you think? Because of a point? I don't think it's just because of Sessions. I think Sessions is where he is partially because they want to do this crackdown. That's interesting. You might be right.
We'll have to find out about that. But the crackdown is not going to go well. It's a terrible idea. You let the genie out of the bottle. You gave people their freedom.
That'll be the death of the power of the Trump administration if they actually go through with something so stupid.
It would be stupid economically as well.
Oh, yeah.
It would show, I mean, you want to talk about transparency, it'll show really clearly who your loyalty is to. That it's not to the will of the people, that it's to these companies that are benefiting from keeping marijuana illegal, period. That's it. And then we'd have to figure out a marijuana coalition. We've got to figure out a way. Like, there are fucking 100 million of us, I guarantee you, in this country. 100 million people that smoke pot. That's a lot of fucking people. And that number's going to grow.
It's a third of the country.
And it's going to grow the more things are. People are like, I can't believe Rogan really believes 100 million people smoke pot. You fucking idiot. You fucking waste pot. There's a lot of fucking people. I might have made that number up. Let's say I did.
I fucking, I believe it. I believe it's probably at least close, because even when I was living down south and I was hanging out with conservatives who love Trump.
They smoked a little weed.
Yeah, they're smoking weed.
Yeah,
Not a little weed. They're smoking weed like crazy.
It's fun. It's fun to get high. There's nothing wrong with it. The only thing that's wrong with it is the fact that it's been buttoned down into our brain, deep in our memory, through propaganda, that it's bad for you. That's it.
Yeah.
If you looked at the actual effects it has on you, like we were talking about schizophrenics and blaming marijuana on schizophrenia, but it still seems across the board to be 1%. It's the same thing with dummies and lazy people.
Yeah.
When dummies and lazy people find out about pot, it ruins the idea of it for other people.
Sure.
They go, oh, well, look, it's associated with this loudmouth dummy. This loudmouth fucking lazy person who never gets anything done. He's always broke. He's always asking for money. That's a pothead. Potheads don't get shit done. Don't be a pothead. And then you get that in your head and you just run with it.
Well, there's plenty. Like we know, there's plenty of potheads that are really industrious and hardworking. It's
a lot of them.
You can't attribute something that was always part of someone's personality and say, well, marijuana caused that.
Exactly.
It doesn't totally change the nature of a person. It's not that powerful of a fucking drug.
Nor does coffee.
No.
Nor does alcohol. Nor
do cigarettes, for that matter.
Exactly.
Well, alcohol can change some people.
That's true. It was a bad example. Canada's justice system is crumbling as cannabis raids continue. So, they've been busting all these fucking pot places. I thought you guys had your social justice warrior president, and everybody was going to get to pick their own gender pronouns, and now you're raiding pot places. Okay, look at this. 6,500 cases in provincial court could be soon dropped due to delays, including 38 for homicide or attempted murder. One terrible case last year, a man named Kenneth Williamson was convicted of raping a minor over 100 times, but because of lengthy delays in taking his case to trial, his conviction was overturned.
Wait, is that so they could prosecute more marijuana?
No, this is just saying that their system is in such crisis, and this marijuana case where they're arresting all these people for marijuana, it's insane because their justice system is already in the crisis. So it says, considering the justice system crisis, cannabis should obviously be the lowest priority for police and the courts, but it's not. Not only are police launching more raids against dispensaries than ever before, but ridiculous charges for small-scale cannabis crimes are continuing from coast to coast.
So they have a justice system that's so broken that they can't even convict people who raped minors 100 times.
They can't take them to trial. I mean, but
it's that broken, but they're still trying to fucking catch people for smoking weed and just raiding dispensaries and shit like that. What a waste of fucking time. If
I had a guess, I would say it's some sort of compartmentalism in that, like, the drug people they don't go after the other crimes and they don't have to do it, and then there's a legal system that's backed up. But to put more people into the legal system just because you have to somehow or another justify the position that you're in, a cop, of a DEA cop, whatever they're called up there, that's fucking crazy. You got a broken system. You're preying on people. You're locking people up, putting them in a cage.
If you want to impress us, then convict that fucking rapist. Don't fucking prosecute people who are smoking weed.
For sure. And by the way, what you're doing right now seems like a crime. You're locking people up in a cage for a plant that everybody on the planet knows is not bad for you. So if you just decide that because of some fucking bullshit thing that's written on paper, that you should be able to go against all the science that's available today, all the common sense and the will of the people, and you should be able to go into people's houses, go into people's businesses, arrest them, take all their money, take all their pot, that's a crime. That sounds like a crime. It sounds like you're using your position and you're using it to just mark one up on the scoreboard. You know, we got some convictions today, good solid ones. Bunch of dopers. Caught us a bunch of dopers.
Had to let that crazed pedophile go, but we got all the dope heads.
Yeah, finally got them dopers.
The real scourge of society.
That guy fucked 100 kids, but you know what he didn't? He didn't fuck them over by giving them pot.
Yeah. Okay? At least he wasn't smoking no weed.
At least those kids are going to remember what he did to them. It's not going to damage their memory.
Yeah.
Like that goddamn pot.
They're going to remember it. They're going to remember it explicitly.
Jesus Christ. It's just, I can't believe that in this day and age, that shit is still going on. It just seems like, and Canada, I thought with this Trudeau guy was going to be more progressive than ever, which Canadians are complaining about it like crazy, and you know, I've had Jordan Peterson on the podcast, and he hates what's going on now with this push towards being like as open-minded as possible with all these accepting of the gender pronouns, and that you're going to have to start putting people, you're going to have to start processing cases through the Human Rights Council, because if you don't use a person's proper gender pronoun, it could literally be considered a crime. Like, I think all that stuff on the left, when it goes way far, it gets really crazy, but it's probably a good thing to balance out the stuff on the right, and people figure out some sort of comfortable medium. But he's not being that at all. He's not. If the president is allowing this to go on, he's not being this progressive president. He's just not. If he's only going to be progressive towards transgender pronouns and whatever other ridiculous laws that they're swamped with, this is just a terrible precedent to set. Allowing them to lock people up for pot in 2017 is a fucking criminal waste of resources.
Yeah.
A criminal waste of manpower, a criminal intrusion on the freedom of those people that you're locking up. A criminal on the disruption that you're putting into their lives and the money that you're taking away from them for trading
and
in
out of your
something.
economy as well.
Yes, and fucking your economy up. And these people are trading in something that is very valuable to the community and to the human beings that consume it.
Yeah, you know, I consider myself probably more liberal than I am conservative, but when I see the priorities of liberals being identity politics shit, gender pronouns and stuff, and then so much of the real issues like just get ignored like this.
Yeah.
That makes me hesitant to even say like I'm a liberal or I'm more left wing than right wing or whatever, because I'm just like your priorities are totally fucked. They're totally out of order. You know, apparently in Canada they're fighting all these fucking politically correct identity politics battles, but they can't deal with the pot issue. Their police raids against pot dispensaries are actually up, and they're trying to charge people with petty fucking weed smoking crimes.
And this is a thing that people always go on about. Like, it's because it's pot, it seems like it's not a big issue. It's like it's not. We got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. Well,
look, TJ. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the stock market. Okay. TJ, do you know about the war in Afghanistan, TJ?
Yeah.
Okay, we got problems, real problems. This fucking pot thing, you goddamn potheads. If it's not for your pot, oh, what am I do it? But it's not that. And this is what people have to realize. It's about personal freedom.
Yeah.
It's about a person telling you what you can't do and enforcing it to the point of putting you in a fucking cage. And that thing, which had been an accepted part of civilization for thousands of years and is today accepted. It's an accepted part of civilization right now. But there's just these people that don't engage in it, that don't understand it, and that feel like they have the right to go and lock people up for it.
You know, when the Trump administration started signaling that they were going to take on weed, or that they were thinking about it at least, that it was on the table. Like,
so stupid.
At that point, I made a video where I was basically, it was like making all the cases why this is terrible, this is a bad idea. You know, I made the economics argument, I made the personal freedom argument. I pointed out the tremendous amount of revenue this is generating for the states that have legalized it.
Yeah.
And a huge part of the response was just like, yeah, oh yeah, of course he goes after Trump when Trump goes after his precious weed.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's when he cares. That's the only thing that got him to care. It's like,
fucking
what are you talking
junkie.
about? I made fucking so many cogent arguments that hold water about the economic and personal liberty ramifications of something like this, and all you want to focus on is my personal usage of this fucking substance. It's bullshit.
You bet it's a good thing to talk about because it'll get you talking about it like right now.
Sure.
It'll get you. It'll poke at you. They
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Because they know that people like you and I really do enjoy our marijuana. And when you try to take away the pot, we really do get upset.
Yeah, I mean, it was like kind of I was kind of like on the give Trump a chance bandwagon until they started signaling this stuff. So that's why I got shit.
It's a very, very foolish thing to try to step in 2017 with all the science and all the information and the public opinion and to say that marijuana is something that can get you locked up.
But it's almost as bad as heroin, for fuck's sake.
He's so stupid. That's a silly man. That guy needs a pot brownie more than anything in this life. He just needs just a quarter. Just give him a quarter. Let him sit there. Let him think about his grandchildren. Let him think about fishing and let him think about just napping in the sun and going to meet the good Lord in a few years. You don't have much time left, motherfucker. You want to ruin it for potheads? You're barely alive. Your hair's white, your posture's bad, and you're standing there lying. You're lying on television about heroin and pot being like really close. That's a crazy person who doesn't know what pot does. You're talking about pot, you obviously have no idea what it's like. It's like a person who's colorblind describing some sort of a kaleidoscope. You don't know what you're even talking about. Like, for a guy like him, if you want to have a person who's talking about individual experiences, they should have had, like if you're talking about someone who's talking about the effects of a chemical and whether or not it should be legal, they should have had some sort of experience with that chemical. They should know what it's doing. They should understand it, especially if it's safe, something like marijuana. So for you to talk about it and to have these ridiculous, you can't invest one evening in a safe environment. They'll do it in a laboratory or a hospital somewhere, pad up the rooms, and give you a pot cookie. And then put Pink Floyd's The Wall on. Just someone tell this fucking guy what it really is. Because he's just talking out of his ass.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this is just apocryphal or if this is an actual story, but I remember there being something about him saying that he thought the KKK were good guys until he found out they smoked weed.
No, that was, I think that was wrongly attributed to him.
Okay.
And that, not only that, there has been evidence that he's done many things for civil rights. I'd read that too. But I think it just might be the case of people being overzealous and trying to paint I mean, you could find things I'm sure that you've said or that I've said. If you take them completely out of context, you could paint a very different opinion.
Definitely.
It's fucking very hard to form an opinion of someone, like a legitimate opinion of someone without actually knowing them.
Yeah.
But you can have an opinion.
It's not that hard when they go out and say
policy.
that that pot is nearly as dangerous as heroin, because that person at that point you're just like, this person is either delusional or is willfully deceptive.
Right, and the important part about it is it's not just a person. It's a person with an extreme amount of power.
Yeah.
It's a person in a very dangerous position of enforcing laws. And you go, okay, well, will you think that? That's crazy. That's not true. That's not true. Like, it just drives me nuts because I think it helps people. I really do. I really do. I really do think it's probably one of the best elements in terms of a happy, healthy society, staying grounded and being like a little more kind. I think it gives you a certain percentage more of kindness.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen it make people more empathetic, more tolerant towards one another. I've seen people who have anxiety that it helps. I've seen people who have anxiety that it exacerbates their anxiety too.
The edibles do, for sure.
Like the story I told about my brother at the beginning of the show. But by and large, I know a lot of people with like bad anxiety who smoke weed, and it makes them feel better. It makes them feel more comfortable in social situations.
You know what it does too, bro? It makes you fucking talk about weed.
Yeah.
How come you guys keep talking about weed? I get it. You like weed. Enough already, bro. I can read that now. I could read it in the comments.
It's there.